For this week's challenge, I'm going to take £10 and then I'm going to make meals for 7 days for one person. I'm going to allow myself access to herbs, spices and cooking oil from the kitchen, but I'm going to use just £10 to buy all the ingredients I need to make 3 meals a day for the next week ahead. I'm not going to share Aldi's. What I'm going to do is just run down to Aldi's, spend the £10, come back. I'll show you what we picked up for the money, and then I'll show you the receipt at the end of it. We'll go through what ingredients we have, and then we'll get on and start day one with breakfast and work our way through the next 7 days. Hopefully we can make some healthy, versatile meals. I'm going to focus on protein. I'm definitely going to make sure I try and keep the protein up this week. I'm not going to allow myself rice, porridge or lentils. Those are the 3 main staples that I tend to go for every time I do a low budget challenge. And I always have a lot left over after each video. So in a previous challenge, I said that I'm going to try it without them. So no rice, no porridge oats and no lentils. I'll catch you back here after I've been to Aldi's. Right, let's take a look at the stuff I managed to pick up. I did do Aldi's, but then have to go to Asda's because I had an issue with potatoes, but I'll discuss that in a minute. The first item I picked up for this week from Aldi was their mixed frozen veg. So in here you get carrots, peas, sweet corn and green beans. And that came in at 99p. The second item I picked up was 1 kilogram of pasta from their essentials range. That came in at 82p. So as part of this challenge, I'm just going to try and make easy, simple meals. 2 tins of chickpeas, which were 49p each. So 98p in total. Not using lentils for protein, I needed to either consider peanut butter, which is something I've used quite often, and I don't have porridge to put it in this week, or some form of meat. And on a low budget, chicken would have taken up quite a chunk of the £10. So I opted for 3 tins of the essentials range tuna chunks in brine, and they were 55p each. Another good source of protein, baked beans, and they're nice and cheap, 27p per can. Onions, because they're good for calories, flavour, stretching out meals, and they're very diverse to use. So I got the wonky ones, so they came in at 80p. Big bag of carrots. These came in at 69p for a kilogram of the carrots. To make breakfast easier, especially when we don't have any porridge, and on this tight budget, I actually went for a loaf of bread. This is the cheapest bread you can get in Aldi's. You can have the option of white or brown, white or wholemeal. I just thought wholemeal might be slightly better for me. And that was 55p, but that's enough to help see us through the week of breakfasts. Beans on toast, egg on toast and the like. Talking of eggs, I picked up the 6 free range eggs for £1.55. So that's everything that I picked up from Aldi's. I did want to buy potatoes, and the pack of potatoes that I wanted to buy within my price range for 2 kilograms, £1.35, because they didn't have it, and I didn't want to up the price and forsake something from my ingredients list. I just went to Asda's on the way home, get some shampoo for the wife anyway. So there you go, there's the list for those of you that like to see the actual list itself. Carrots 1 kilogram 69p, the pasta 82p, mixed veg 99p, bread 55, baked beans 27p each, chickpeas 49p each, tuna in brine 55p each, the wonky onions 80p for the pack, and the eggs £1.55. And then you have the Just Essentials 2 kilograms of potatoes, which I picked up from Asda's on the way home, and that came in at cost £1.32. Total for the week of £9.89. So I did have 11p spare at the end of it, but there wasn't anything I could pick up for 11p. I've got a lot of veg, it's very high in protein. There's definitely enough food to see us through for the 7 days. Just to clarify, just to go over the parameters for the challenge this week, I'm going to allow myself access to cooking oil, small amounts of butter, margarine for the purposes of cooking only. I'm going to allow myself full access to herbs and spices in the kitchen because the majority of people would build up herbs and spices over a period of time. I do have a video on starting out buying herbs and spices, stuff for cooking for under £10 from Aldi's. There's a video. I'll leave the link at the bottom of this in this description. It's very easy to build up and maintain a decent herb and spice supply. So I'm going to allow full access of that. And something I haven't done for a little while in challenges, I'm going to allow myself access to any freebies, any scavenged food sachets from restaurants, takeaways, and the like. I whittled it down. The reason why it hasn't been in a few challenges is because I actually got quite low on stock because I was doing so many challenges and including it that I gave myself a little bit of time to build it up. So I'll give myself access to the free or scavenged. Just to clarify, this is a challenge set by me for me to test my abilities to make meals, stretch out a limited budget, and see if I can make it last for a week. Let's get cracking. Let's start on day one. With the restriction of the budget and the ingredients that we picked up, there will be some repeats of meals, but I will try and do a little bit of diversity as I go. So day one for breakfast, we're going to use 2 slices of bread to make some toast, and then we'll use half a tin of the baked beans. Just stick them in the toaster. Just give the beans a shake so we don't end up with all liquid at the top. And then I want roughly half the tin of beans. I'd say that's roughly about half. That can go in the fridge, cover that up. And then we'll just heat up the other load, the beans we're using for day one. Right, I am allowed herbs and seasoning, so I think I'm going to add a little bit of paprika. My favourite smoked paprika, just to add a little bit extra flavour. Well, running out of that. I'm not going to justify having butter on my toast. I'm going to say that that could have been bought during the challenge if I really wanted it. But I'm quite happy with baked beans on the bread anyway. The paprika just adds a little bit of flavour diversity, mixing it up a little bit. But there you go, beans on 2 bits of toast for breakfast. Could have chucked in an egg, but I've got plenty of meals left to go for the rest of this challenge, so I'm going to hold back on having the egg. Just eat the beans with the toast. That'll get me going. Lunchtime for day one, I am considering a vegetable soup, a veg and chickpea soup. Right, lunch on day one is going to be that veg and chickpea soup I mentioned. I'm just going to take one of the onions, going to dice it. I've got a carrot which I'm gonna try and leave the skin on. I'll take off any bits which don't look very good, but I'm gonna try and leave the skin on because it adds nutrients to the meal instead of removing all the skin and all the goodness. I've got gonna use half a tin of the chickpeas. I'm gonna use out of the cupboards some stock cube, and then I'm gonna use a handful, half a cup of the mixed vegetables. So I'll just take the top and the bottom off of the carrot and we'll have a look at it. I'm just going to give it a scrub. Right, happy with that. I'm going to keep the skin on that carrot. First of all though, let's just get those onions diced up, the onion diced up. I know I've banned myself from rice, oats and lentils. And I am aware that I'll probably get a few comments saying that I've gone back to carrots and onions. But they really are the most versatile of the veg groups, of the veg you can buy at a decent price for a large quantity. So 69p gets you a lot of carrots, 80p gets you a lot of onions. So I think that's why it always ends up being, and it's not just my channel, I know there's a lot of other channels where they use carrots and onions, and let's face it, it is a staple for recipes. So I'm just going to go on and dice this carrot. So that's the carrot and the onion chopped up. Add a little bit of oil to the pan. Get that heating up. Add the onion and carrot to the pan. Gently cook it down for 5 minutes. Right, I figured now would be a good time to look through all my scavenged packs to see if there's anything I can add to the soup. I've got some wasabi, mayonnaise, possibly the tangy mild sauce from Taco Bell. I've got plenty of options here to go through. That's why I always save and keep hold of anything from restaurants, takeaways. It's mostly salt and peppers in this one. A load of mayonnaise, some spicy chili, and a barbecue sauce. And then I've got the ones I shared from my holiday, so hotel, stuff like that. I don't think there's anything in there necessarily. There is some cornmeal. That's chocolate flavoured powder. That's not going to go nicely with this. I think I might just chuck in a bit of the barbecue sauce. I don't know. Definitely not the mayo. That's not going to go into a soup. Spicy chili. I'm going to go spicy chili because it's got a tomato base to it. We're going to add that to the soup. Just add a little bit extra flavour profile. In the meantime, I'll get that stock cube in some water. I'll just get that sauce in there now while I'm at it. Get every last bit out of that sauce packet. A handful of the mixed frozen veg, half the tin of chickpeas, add the stock, bit of salt and pepper, and we'll leave that to simmer down for 15 to 20 minutes. So it's been cooking down for 15 minutes. We've got ourselves a nice thick hearty soup. I could blend it down, but I think I'm going to leave it as it is. It always feels a bit more substantial when you've got it with big chunks inside. I'm wondering if I save some for a following meal, because I do think I've got plenty there. If it didn't have chickpeas in it for the added protein to make it more substantial, I would have add a bit of toast with it. But as it stands, I don't think we need to necessarily. I think I'll save a bowl, then I can have that with a smaller bowl. So I've got a larger portion for my lunch today, a slightly smaller portion for tomorrow, which then means I can have that with some toast for lunch. Let's give it a little try. See, I'm interested to see what it tastes like with that chili sauce flavouring. Oh, that's really tasty. It's got a little bit of a kick from that chili. And it's giving it more of a tomatoey taste to the chicken stock. That's actually really full of flavour. Actually shocked at how much extra flavour is in that soup. It's nice to have loads of veg. It's nice to have the protein from the chickpeas. I sometimes get questions asked in the comments saying there's no way someone your size can be sustained by soup. But I'd argue there's probably a lot more sustenance and nutrition, and it's probably a lot more filling than a sandwich or something from the convenience store for lunch. I'm going to sit down, enjoy my soup. I'm going to put that one aside to cool down. And then this evening, I'm going to do something with mash and some tuna, like a tuna mash bake. So I'll see you back in the kitchen for that later on this evening. Initially, I was going to do 3 potatoes for my dinner tonight to go with my tuna. But I think I might just batch cook or just double up on the potatoes so that I don't have to make mash when I want to do like a bubble and squeak. I've washed the potatoes, and some of the skins I'm going to save so I can try the old crispy skins snack trick. So anything which looks a little bit gnarly I won't add in, but everything else I'm going to chuck into this bowl. And then we'll make some potato skins in the air fryer, or at least have a go anyway. Something I get commented on quite frequently on the channel is save the skins and make them crispy. Right, I'm going to get on and finish the potatoes. The potato skins for us to try. I'm just going to chop up the potatoes. I tend to do them into fours because I think the smaller the potato, the quicker it boils down for a mash. Get them on the boil. While the potatoes are boiling down to a mash, I had a little think, and I think I'm going to make like a coleslaw, like a crunchy coleslaw to go with it, because I'm going to just be using tuna and mash and then frying it down effectively into little patties. So we'll use the smallest of the onion, which still leaves us loads of onions left for the week, and one of the carrots. I can save the end bits for a stock, and then I'm just going to slice the onion thin but in longer strands, so from the top of the onion down. At the top and the bottom off the carrots. Again, could save that for stock. Can grate the carrot. Skin's really good on this carrot, so I'm not even going to peel it off for the raw carrot salad. I'm just going to add the carrot to a bowl with the chunky sliced onion. Then I was thinking, I'm going to save these two spiced mayos for a tuna pasta salad. So I'm going to use up some of the mayonnaise sachets I've got. We'll start with 2 and see how we get on. And then one of the tangy spiced Taco Bell seasonings. It's a mild tangy hot sauce is what it is. And then we can just mix that through. Just going to need another bit of mayo. Add a little bit of black pepper to it. Then we've got ourselves a crunchy, spicy flavoured salad, just to add a little bit extra to our tuna and mash tonight. Potatoes ready to be mashed. Going to add in some garlic granules from the herbs and spices, and a little bit of mixed herbs. We're going to take the tuna. I've drained one of the tins of tuna, and we're going to take half of it out. Had this had oil in it instead of brine, I would have used some of the oil in using this recipe, but I don't want salty brine in the mix. So we'll save half the tin of tuna with a little bit of olive oil. I've just realised the mistake I've made. I've just put all of the mash in with the tuna. I was meant to have halved it, wasn't I? Right, because I've made that mistake, I'm going to add in the other half of the tuna. We're going to make 2 meals out of this. The reason being is the tuna, the small amount of tuna in that mash would have just got lost in the flavouring. So now that I've made 2 lots, I'm going to have 2 tuna, potato and herb fritters for tonight, and we'll save the rest for a different meal. A bit like in the World War II weeks when I do the World War II diet. You don't want to waste anything. Let's get a pan heating up with a bit of oil. So I'm saving half the mixture for another meal, and then we're just gonna mold these into patties. They may fall apart as we fry them, but we'll see. So I've got 2 patties frying down. I'm going to chuck in a handful of the veg. Just going to go ahead and mix that through, and then I'm going to make a couple of patties that I'm going to wrap up and save for a different meal. Might as well do that while the rest of the others are cooking. Depending on the bread situation, I could even look at freezing these down and then adding breadcrumbs to them later in the week. I can decide that later, but because I made that mistake with the mash, might as well stretch it out over a couple more meals. Just carefully turn these over. A little salt and pepper on the top. There we go. A couple of potato. Oh, this one's bashed about a little bit. There we go, for dinner, day one. Got a couple of crispy potato, mashed potato and tuna bakes. And then we got some of that crunchy onion and carrot slaw. These are really simple but really tasty, easy to make. I did mess up with the potato, but it's given me some extra easy meals for during the week now. Could add a little bit of ketchup to this if I wanted to from one of the sachets, but to be fair, the flavour's really nice with the coleslaw anyway. But that's dinner done for day one. I'll join you in the morning for breakfast for day two. Right, try and keep it simple this morning for breakfast. So it's going to have a couple of bits of toast with egg. I think I'm just going to use one egg. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to have 2 eggs because I did plan for 1 egg for 2 breakfasts, but I did realise I've got some honey sachets, scavenged honey sachets, so I can have honey on toast one day. So we'll double up on the egg for day 2. Add a little bit of tomato ketchup. So breakfast on day 2 is just scrambled egg, no butter, just a bit of oil in the pan with on toast with some ketchup. Tasty, delicious. I really do love a bit of egg in the morning for breakfast, so this is I'm happy with day 2. Gonna have that soup for lunch, and then I'm gonna knock up some pasta for this evening's meal. Keeping it simple for lunch on day 2 and using up that leftover vegetable chickpea soup. Just as tasty as yesterday, full of flavour. Really impressed with this soup. I don't really feel like I need toast or bread with it this time round either. I feel like this is substantial enough, and those 2 eggs on toast have definitely kept me going since this morning. Go ahead and prep dinner for this evening, and it's going to be, that's roughly looking at about 2 cups, maybe slightly bit more. I don't want to overcook it because I don't want it to be too soft, because it's going to be in like a tuna mayo veg pasta. So we'll keep an eye on it. Towards the end of its cooking, we are going to add in the mixed veg. In fact, I might add a stock cube to the cooking process as well, because I find that helps really flavour plain pasta. Right, the pasta's nearly finished, so I'm going to add in 1 cup of the frozen veg. Stir that through just while it finishes off cooking. Drain off the tuna. Right, so the pasta's done with the veg and the stock cube. I'll be very honest with you, there was a time in my adult life when I spent about 2 weeks and every evening I had stock cube pasta because I was that broke that that's all I had to eat. It got a bit boring and a bit samey, but to be honest, I was just grateful that that stodgy pasta with the small amount of flavouring from the stock cube just kept me going, and I didn't go to bed hungry. Let's do half of the tuna. I'll move that other half out the tin into a little container. There's my tuna left over for another day. Let's mix the tuna through. I've left a little bit of the liquid from the pasta just because I want it to help spread the mayo sachets we're putting into the dish. This is definitely going to make 2 decent sized meals. I've also done a similar thing with anchovies in a pasta, because of the saltiness from the tinned anchovies. Right, so there's the first lot of sauce. I'm going to use one of those silicone spatulas someone sent me, because they really do help get every last drop. And we're going to add in the Frank's red hot mayo as well. Let's get that mixed through. So I'm going to have a portion of this hot for my dinner. Definitely enough for dinner there. And then I'm going to put a portion which I can have as a cold pasta salad. There's potentially 2 lots worth there, because these containers may look small on the screen, but they definitely hold a lot of pasta. So there's a couple of lunches or a main dinner there. And then I've got my pasta. Let's give it a taste. See what it's like with this spicy mayonnaise. That's really tasty. Really tasty. I like the spicy kick in it. It's really nice warm. We'll see what it's like when it's cooled down as a pasta salad. Could have added ketchup to this, could have added mayonnaise, could have added any of the sauce sachets you can pick up free at your local takeaways and restaurants. Or you could have just had it, like I mentioned before, just having stock cube flavoured pasta. If you haven't tried it, it genuinely does infuse a nice flavour to the pasta, and it's filling. It's carb heavy. I do understand now. Yeah, a lot of people say a lot of my challenges are carb heavy, but it happens to be that a lot of the cheaper food items are carbohydrates like rice, pasta, oats, noodles, and the like. Right, enough waffling. I will get on, have my dinner. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for day 3. It's going to be a couple of bits of toast. Right, I'm going to have a bit of honey. Got the leftover. I've got the honey to use up from the salvage packs. I think that's a perfect breakfast. Mix it up a little bit. I mean, some people get upset about the idea of using free and scavenged stuff. Sometimes just to improve situations, just to improve your own personal situation, a little bit of ingenuity, a little bit of adaptability, looking for ways to simplify things, looking for ways to increase the stuff that you've got. For example, blackberry picking, foraging for plums and stuff like that. I have mentioned I don't do mushrooms purely because I don't have the knowledge, skill set or confidence, so I don't mess with mushrooms. But I know plums, hedgerow plums, I know stinging nettles, dandelions and the like. So if I've got a £10 budget, or I've got a similar kind of low budget, but I've also got the ability to improve my situation by grabbing some sauce sachets. I've been into McDonald's and asked if I can have a couple of sachets, and they've not batted an eyelid. They really don't care. But yeah, if I can grab some free food, if I can grab some nettles from outside, if I can do anything like that to improve my situation, I'm going to do it. So that's why I try to include them in a lot of the challenges, because you can use your initiative, go out there and get a few extra bits just to help you with the low budget you're working with. Enough waffling in the morning. Jeez, that's a big old waffle this morning. I'm going to have my honey on toast. Absolutely love honey. A lot of you who follow the channel will know that I don't necessarily have the sweetest tooth. I don't do a lot of sweet stuff. But for some reason, for me, honey, I don't know if it's because it's like the natural sugar or what, but it just really resonates with me. Absolutely love honey. Right, I'm going to go finish my breakfast. I'll see you back in the kitchen at lunchtime. Lunch for day 2, we're going to have the spicy tuna pasta. There's more than enough for a couple of lunches there. That's the thing with using these kind of ingredients, you can bulk make everything. So I'll save some lunch for tomorrow. I know it's very samey on lunch, but it means I can focus my ingredients more on the evening meals. But for lunch, we're going to have the cold tuna spiced mayo. Cold spiced mayo tuna pasta. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Do a little bit more salt and pepper. That's a decent lunch. That'll keep me going till dinner. I think I'm going to do a chickpea vegetable stew. For our bean and vegetable stew, we're going to make it as simple as possible. I'm just going to use a couple of onions, because I want to double this meal up, because there's a couple of ways you can serve this. First one being probably with some roasted, air fried roasted potatoes. So we're just going to chop up the onions. Just going to take the ends off the carrots. Again, I'm going to try and leave the skin on them while they're not too ropey. And then we're just going to dice them up. So that's the carrots and the onions diced up. I am going to chuck in some vegetables, some mixed vegetables, frozen mixed veg. First of all, we're going to fry the carrot and the onion down in a bit of oil for 5 minutes. Right, let's chuck in the onion and the carrot. A bit of advice in the comments is to say, I've been told I should leave my onions in a little bit longer so they caramelise, just to get that extra enhanced flavour. So I'm going to try and do that today. I'm going to use a beef stock cube because I want to try and give it a bit more of a meatier taste. We're going to do 450 mils of water. And another way to enhance the taste, to make it like more beefy, which is probably just me personally, but if you put in a load of cracked black pepper, I associate the pepper taste with savoury and beef. Probably just a me thing, but actually thinking about it, I might grab that barbecue sauce as well, just to add a bit more of a smoky flavour to it. Yeah, let's do that. So we're adding the barbecue, smoky and sweet. I think that will complement the beans going in as well. And we've got the tomato sauce coming off the half tin of beans. All about trying to get that extra flavour in this stew. I've grabbed a couple of potatoes out. This is going to cook down for 20 minutes after we initially fry off the onions. Once we've added the beans and the veg, and then I can put a little bit of oil and salt on and flavouring on these, stick these in the air fryer and do one of my regulars, which is homemade easy wedges. Right, so I've crisped them up. I've let the onions brown a lot more than I normally do. Going to add some herbs and spices to this. So we're going to go in with a bit of paprika. I haven't got any garlic, so we're going to go in with a little bit of garlic granules, a few mixed herbs. I think that's all I want to put in it today. I'm going to go in and add a tiny little bit of turmeric. There we go. Then we're going to add half the tin of leftover baked beans. These Amazon spatulas are absolutely brilliant for getting, when you're trying to get the most out of your ingredients. Then I'm going to go in with a handful of the veg, maybe 2 actually, because we're making 2 lots of meals. And then in with the stock and the barbecue sauce. Give that a little stir. And we're going to leave that to simmer for 15 minutes and it should thicken up a little bit as well. The stew's nearly thickened down to the point where I'm happy with it. It's definitely going to make 2 nice meals out of that. So what we're going to do is get on and make some wedges to serve with tonight's meal. So I'm just going to take 2 potatoes. I'll just halve them and then I put each half into a quarter, into a third, like so. So halve and then section it out so that we end up with some skin on wedge shapes. That'll do for tonight's dinner. Just being a bit more conservative with the amount of potatoes I use because I still got 4 more days. A little bit of oil. I think I'm going to use a seasoning mix I know I'm boring and I'll go for the same thing over and over again, but I do love piri piri seasoning. It just has a combination of different herbs and spices. If you're starting out with herbs and spices, probably one of the better ones to go for. It's a blend of chilies, onion and citrus peel. It's also got some cumin, parsley, coriander seeds, paprika, packed with loads of different herbs and spices. We'll just chuck a load of them on. Give that a mix through. So that it coats the wedges. Don't need to pre-cook these or par cook them. They cook perfectly fine in an air fryer. So just open the tray, chuck the potatoes in. 20 minutes will do it on 200. Come and check on them in 15. There we go. Just get them going. We've had the wedges in for 20 minutes. They're nice and crispy on the outside, soft on the inside. Just going to get on and load up the plate with some of that lovely bean and vegetable stew. Going to put the rest in a container. Right, let's give this a taste test. Stick the lid on that and move out of the way. So there's our vegetable and bean stew using a bit of barbecue sauce and some herbs and spices to add a little bit extra flavour. It's got a real smoky sweet flavour. That's helped by the paprika as well. It's got a beefy kind of meaty flavour for the beef stock cube. That's a really delicious, tasty stew. I could have that in a wrap. I could eat that many different ways. It's just delicious, full of veg. Some protein from the beans as well. Really tasty. Day 4 and we're back to beans on toast. So we have 2 slices of toast. And we'll go again and have half a tin of the baked beans. This is our second tin of baked beans. So we'll stick half back in the fridge. Deja vu from day 1. I bought these tiny little sandwich bags. They're so small. I was like, oh, what am I meant to use them for? They were no good for putting stuff in. But I've worked out with an elastic band, they go quite nicely over there, and just keep the covered up for the beans to go in the fridge till I need to use them. Right, baked beans on toast. That'll be the last lot of baked beans on toast we have this week. Like I said on day 1, I'm not too bothered about not having margarine or butter. I can just use the bean sauce for the bread itself. But yeah, that's breakfast for day 4 sorted. I'm heading out. Going to take lunch with me. I've just grated one of the carrots, the smallest carrot I've got down, just to add to give the pasta a little bit extra. But I've got the last of the pasta to use up, which is really done well. So it's done a main evening meal and 2 lunches, which is brilliant. Definitely a good way of stretching the budget. I've added a bit of carrot just to mix it up a little bit. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it will just add a little bit of extra crunch. And I've got an idea with something I wanted to do with the bean and vegetable stew I made last night for dinner. So here's my plan for the meal this evening. The bean stew, I just heated it up in the microwave, and I'm not sure why I've done that, because it's going to be reheated in the oven, in the air fryer. Bit silly of me, but oh well. So I've got one of the potato and tuna veg cakes the other day. I'm going to put that on as a topping. I figured we could make it into like a weird cottage pie concoction. Stick it in the air fryer so it crisps up on top. Let's take a look at what it comes out like. I could add some extra veg to this, but to be honest, there's plenty in here already. The potatoes crisped up nicely on the top. Just going to give it a second to cool down before I stick that in my mouth. Right, let's give it a taste now it's cooled down. Still piping hot though. That's really tasty. That's actually delicious. I'm glad I thought to use that tuna mash with the stewed beans and veg. It's made a really nice savoury kind of hot pot kind of situation going on. I'd go as far as saying I'd eat that every single day and not get bored of it. That's how much I'm enjoying this. Right, breakfast today is going to be a fried egg sandwich. So I've got my egg. I thought I had some tomato sauce left over from the sachets I've got, but I don't, so we're going to end up having a spicy egg sandwich to wake us up this morning. That'll keep us going. 3 days left. I'm going to get on and make a big old stew. I really enjoyed the last one. I think it's got a bit more versatility to use than a soup for adding extra ingredients, adding it to dishes. So I'm going to do 2 potatoes, 2 onions, 2 carrots this time round. I've got a load of the veg, half of what's left over of the frozen veg, half a tin of baked beans, and I'm going to chuck in a load of chickpeas this time. So we're really going to bulk this one out. This will make a good few meals to see us through till the end of the challenge. I'm going to serve one up this evening with mashed potato. And for lunch we're going to have a tuna sandwich. First of all, I want to get this stew pre-made and cooking down. I do get a lot of comments here on the channel saying about batch cooking and time constraints and stuff like that, so this is a good example of pre-making something which will last a good few meals. I think I've done a bit of a job of that throughout this week, if I'm honest. Right, I'm going to get the pan heating up, going to get all the veg in and get it cooking down, in with the carrots, the onion and all the potato. The veg has been cooking down for a good 5 minutes. Working out what I wanted to put in, flavour wise. We're just going to make it into a curried vegetable chickpea bean stew. So I'll just chuck in as much curry powder as I want. Get that to coat the veg. Salt and a bit of pepper. Oh, take the lid off, that would help. There we go. Cook that through for a minute. So I've left the skin on the potatoes. I've left the skin on the carrots. I get so many comments saying leave the skin on. I do if the skin's relatively decent. Like I've said before, if it's ropey, it's coming off. Right, next up we're going to add in the chickpeas and the frozen veg. The baked beans, which is going to add the extra sauce in. Make sure we get all that tomato sauce out. Don't want to waste any of it. And then finally to all that, we're going to add a pint of beef stock. That simmer down for 15 to 20 minutes. And while I'm prepping dinner for tonight, I thought we'd make a tuna sandwich, just something simple and easy for lunch. Probably going to be hungry after just having a sandwich. So we've had an egg. Actually, to be fair, we've had 2 sandwiches today. It's a bit bread heavy, isn't it? But oh well. So we've got, I'm going to do a tuna mayo sandwich. We had the egg sandwich for breakfast. I'm probably going to have a nice big dinner. I'm thinking of doing up some mash to go with the veg, with the stew. Let's mix that through. This is one of the, so we've got one more tin of tuna left after this. This is just the other half of the tuna from the other day. Needed to use it up. Had a bit of sweet corn and stuff in there, but I'll be honest with you, I just want a quick lunch. I'm going to go whack the hoover around while the stew simmers down. Then I've got plans this afternoon before I come back and get on and make some mash. Quick and easy tuna mayo sandwich. Get back to you when the stew's finished simmering. I thought I'd sort out what potatoes I've got left for the 3 days. So I'm going to do a mashed potato tonight and probably have some left over for Bubble and Squeak. And I'm going to do a couple of chips. I'm going to do egg and chips tomorrow night. So what I'll do is I'll use all these up to make the mashed potato. So I'll get on and peel them. Halve the potatoes. And then we're going to boil them down. And that will give us some mashed potato. And I need to remember that I'm saving some this time because The last time I had mashed potato, I went all in, didn't I? So I've added a little bit of margarine to the mashed potato. I've saved some back. I've actually remembered to save some. And then we've got the delicious curried beans, veg and chickpeas. So that's going to go nicely on with the dinner. 2 decent scoops of that. That's a really nice dinner. That'll sort me right out. Just going to pop that to the side for a minute. See how many more scoops I've got left over. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That was a smaller one. So roughly about 5 lots, 5 ladles left over of all that delicious stewed veg, beans and chickpeas. Let's give it a taste. Try a bit of it on its own first. It's got a lovely curried flavour to it. Thick filling, delicious. Try it with some mash. Happy with this. I'm gonna finish dinner. Day 6 tomorrow. I think we'll have toast with the last of the honey sachets, and then I'll think of something different to do with this the stew that we made today. So breakfast, we're just going to use up. I've only got 1 lot of honey, so I'm going to have to spread it across 2 bits of toast. But that's fine. I can make that work. Just get every last bit of it out. It's been quite handy having these honeys. Sorry about the washing machine in the background. I've got a load of stuff to wash ready for the weekend. I'm one of those people who cuts my toast either like into triangles or rectangles on a whim. I know it annoys some people when I cut them like that, but yeah, I just randomly do it. So I woke up this morning and I decided to have my toast that shape. But there we go, honey on toast. And then this afternoon for lunch, I'm going to have some of that stew. And then this evening, I'm going to have egg and chips, I think, because I fancy egg and chips. So I was going to have the leftover mash for Bubble and Squeak, but I've actually changed my mind. I'm going to have a smaller portion of what I had for dinner last night. So the remaining mashed potato with a ladle of the curried vegetable chickpea stew. This is absolutely delicious. I'm loving it. Going to have a nice, simple, easy dinner for day 6. We're just going to have egg and skin on fries. So I'm just going to get the potatoes, just going to cut them into smaller slices, and we're just going to cut them nice and thin. Basically the same as the wedges, but smaller. I'm going to coat them in a bit of oil, bit of seasoning, chuck them in the air fryer for 15 minutes. Keep an eye on them though, because where they're smaller, they will cook a lot quicker. I feel like I've eaten pretty well this week. A couple of repetitive meals, but to be honest, on a tight budget, repetitive meals is going to happen. And not only is it going to happen, it makes life easier. Personally, batch cooking and having stuff made up speeds things up, makes life easier anyway. Big old dinner for today. I've got homemade chips. Just going to stick a bit of salt and pepper and vinegar on it. Let's take a look at these chips. Perfect. Nice, quick, easy, cheeky little dinner. Who don't like chips, egg and chips? Gonna smash this, and then we've only got 1 more day left tomorrow. I'm just having a look at what's left over for the last day of the challenge. We've got quite a bit of bread left. So I'm gonna use 2 bits to make an egg sandwich for breakfast, because we've got our final egg of the challenge. I've got so much pasta left. I basically replaced having a glut of rice with a glut of pasta. Something I'm going to need to address in these challenges going forwards. I've got the last of the potato and tuna mash with veg in it that I made. I really enjoyed the last lot I made into a weird kind of cottage pie, like a mash pie. So we're going to use up the curried stewed veg chickpeas mix. That'll be our dinner tonight. And then because I've still got a tin of tuna and a whole tin of chickpeas, I'm thinking I'm going to use that to make like a chickpea tuna salad. I'll decide whether I'm going to throw pasta in it. I've only got a small amount of the veg left. That could also go in the lunchtime pasta. We've got 3 carrots. We've still got 6 onions left to go through as well. So I've still got quite a lot of food. I'm going to have food left over by the end of today. But to start day 7, I'm just going to get on and make an egg sandwich. All out of ketchup, which isn't a massive big deal. Because I do have, and I know this is a bit unusual for breakfast, but I'm going to put a bit of mustard on it because I do like the taste of mustard. And I think mustard and egg goes pretty well anyway. That's a weird coloured mustard. These are from Lanzarote. So I've got a nice egg sandwich to start the day. Right, for lunch, I'm going to try and use up some of the carrots, onions. I want to use the chickpeas and the tuna. And if I'm being self-critical, which is always a good thing to do, I'd probably say that I was a little bit too economical with the ingredients towards the beginning of the week. I don't think really I should have been left with 2 tins unopened. I could have had a lot more food during the week. That's just me looking at the situation. I didn't go without food. I've not been hungry all week. I've enjoyed the meals I've done. I just think as these challenges go on, the more I do them, the more I need to kind of look at some of the areas I can improve on. And I actually think that having loads, I didn't use enough pasta, let's face it. I don't even fancy pasta for my lunch today. So I'm not even going to use any more of that. I think that I could have replaced the pasta with something else. Maybe, I don't know. I just need to be a bit more reflective, I think, on the ingredients I'm buying. And every time I do a challenge, if I can improve on each one. It's been nice working out how to use, not using rice and porridge oats. But yeah, anyway, enough waffling on. I'm going to make a tuna chickpea skillet with some caramelized onions and cooked carrots. And then put a few spices and herbs in there. Going to prep the onions, so I'm just going to dice the onions up nice and small, and I'm going to dice the carrots up very small so that they have a shorter cook time before they soften up when I cook them down in this recipe. The onions softening down, I've chopped the carrots really fine. Just going to add them in, add a splash of water just to stop it from burning on the bottom. Cook the carrots down for 5 minutes until they start to soften. Right, with the carrots and the onions softening down, I did add a bit of water because obviously they start to dry out a little bit and I wanted them to cook and not just burn on the bottom. Still going to have a little bit of crunch to the carrot, that adds to it. I'm going to add a sprinkle of paprika, cumin, a little bit of turmeric, and then we're going to go in with some garlic granules. I actually have missed garlic this week, fresh garlic. I often buy that in challenges. 37p gets you enough garlic to see you for a week, but we can make do because we've got our herbs and spices and we've got garlic granules, which I think are a fantastic thing to have on standby. Right, with that done, we're then going to add the chickpeas, which I've drained off. Cook that through for 5 minutes. And finally, I'm just going to add in the tin of tuna and mix that through. It for a couple more minutes with the tuna in it. A word of warning when you cook this one, Vicky just walked into the kitchen, told me to open the back door, and it smells very fishy. Maybe ventilate your kitchen while you're cooking the tuna in the pan. But there's a massive bowl for lunch. And I've still got loads left over, so there's going to be another meal. So I definitely could have made this earlier in the week and had it as an extra. Just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to the seasoning to it. Right, let's give it a taste. A bit of everything on the spoon. It's delicious. You got a bit of lemon, I'd probably squeeze a little bit of lemon over the top of that just to enhance the flavour. You could serve this with rice, couscous. Couscous is something I might swap out a pack of couscous for pasta when I do another limited budget challenge like this. I think I could use couscous a lot, and I'd probably use it a lot more than I did with the limited amount of pasta. Or you could have this on toaster in a wrap with some flatbread or something like that. There's options with this, but this is a really tasty warm salad packed with protein. You've got tuna and chickpeas on the go. I've only got one meal left. I've already decided what I'm doing with that. So try dinner, do a recap, go over what's left over, and analyse how we think the week went. It's amazing what your air fryer can knock up with some leftovers when you just chuck it into a little dish. I really enjoyed the previous one, so I pretty much knew straight after that one I wanted to try it again in a different variation. But that mash is crisped up lovely on the top. I would have probably added a bit of cheese if I had it to hand and it was in the ingredients I had. But there's our curried version of the, I don't know what, I keep calling it different things, but it's similar to a cottage pie with the mashed potato on top. It's just a mashed potato pie, isn't it, at the end of the day? Packed with veg, beans, chickpeas. I don't think I necessarily lacked in protein this week. I think I did quite well for hitting the protein. Lots of healthy ingredients, quite simple, easy recipes. I tried to stick to that this week. I didn't want to go too crazy making all these unique different meals. I wanted to kind of add the element of realism because in our household, and I've shared this in a previous challenge where I did family meals, leftovers are key. Leftovers make life a lot easier during the working week. I'm very much big on taking leftovers to work. So the kids have their lunch boxes, they all have their preferences, but I'll just eat whatever's left over. So if we do a big chili, I'll happily have chili for lunch the next day. If it was just me on my own, I'd probably just have chili all day, every day for the week. Monday to Friday, I'd pretty much just happy eat just for the sake of eating. I know that sounds like a bad thing to say, but it's not. It's just a convenience thing with a busy work life, hectic schedules and things going on. And, you know, make up for it on the weekend by making something a bit nicer. But stop waffling. I am definitely waffling now. Give this a try. Super tasty, super filling. This is going to be really enjoyable last meal. Just before I get on and eat that, just let that cool down for a minute. Just want to review what's left over ingredients wise. Like I said at the beginning of the day, I've still got a fair bit of bread left over. I've got a single carrot after lunchtime and I've got 4 onions. I also have a large amount of the pasta. Now, when I went into Aldi's at the beginning of the challenge, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this already, but they did have a smaller bag for 41p, but they didn't have it in stock. That could have freed me up to get a few bananas or a bit of fruit. I was lacking fruit and I actually missed fruit. I'm going to make a real note in a future low budget challenge because I do enjoy doing these and testing different meals. I need to include fruit. That's probably the only thing I've missed this week. I don't particularly miss meat. The tuna more than made up for the lack of meat. But I think in the next challenge, I'll incorporate chicken because a lot of people mentioned try putting meat into the lower budget. And I think I'm going to avoid the pasta. I'm going to stick on the next one. So we're a little ways away from doing another one of these limited budget challenges because I've got an entire month in November on a World War II diet. And I've got an Asian supermarket challenge for a bit of fun I'm doing with my daughter next week. But when we do come back to it in December, I think I'm going to stay off the rice and I'm going to do couscous because I haven't bought a big bag of plain couscous to experiment with in a challenge. I've got a portion of leftover curried chickpea, bean and vegetable stew. I don't even have the tuna left over from lunchtime because Peyton, which surprised me, but my daughter said it smelled nice, tried it and she ate the rest of it. I didn't think she'd actually go for that, but she enjoyed that. She is one of the other person in this household who likes seafood. Yeah, so that's been eaten, but I would have had a portion of this and a portion of chickpea and tuna from lunchtime. So probably another day's worth of food. I can't always fit extra days in. I will do in certain challenges. I'll go an extra day, but I have a lot of things lined up. I'm constantly filming, constantly editing and creating more content, which I love doing, but I am under time constraints. So if I was to stand back and do another day's worth of meals, I'd push out the next week and so forth, so on. I try and get these challenge content ideas up for you guys every Tuesday evening at 5 p.m. GMT. I hope you like that limited budget food challenge. I hope you come away with some good ideas. Let me know in the comments what ideas you guys have. Let me know what your favourite meal was, if there's anything you'd have done different, because I do genuinely improve with people's comments in the comment section. I just want to address a few things. As the channel's growing, I'm getting a few negative comments. I don't feed negativity. I tend not to respond to negativity. I look at it from, I don't know what that place that person's come from. I don't know what their day's been like or what they're going through. So I won't bite to the negativity. It's not in my nature. But if you do see it, may I suggest that you don't respond either. I like building this channel around positivity, kindness, and looking out for each other. The same reason why I run a Discord. I'll leave the Discord link in the description. That's a community of like-minded people from the channel who've migrated over to Discord. We've got subsections for food preservation, gardening, general chit-chat, sharing your pets, and just supporting and being kind to each other. And that's where I'm coming from, and that's where I want to maintain the level on this YouTube channel. Thank you everyone who's watched all the way through, as usual. Thank you everyone who's a member on Patreon and YouTube. I hope that the early access to videos and the weekly waffling is sufficient enough to thank you for supporting me financially on the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you everyone who likes, comments and gets involved. I appreciate you all. I'm genuinely humbled that I'm creeping up towards 25,000 subscribers. I never in my wildest dreams thought that was coming. That leads me to stop waffling and say thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in a future video. Bye bye.